The galaxy had forgotten humanity. For 500 years, humans stayed far from the center of galactic politics. They explored in silence, built in isolation, and learned quietly. They were known only as a minor species living in the distant Orion Spur, with no great empire, no mighty fleets, and no reputation for war. Most aliens believed humanity lacked the intelligence and discipline required to stand among the great powers. To the Galactic Council, humans were simple, emotional, and fragile. But all of that would change. It began with a distress signal, one that echoed across 8 sectors. The sender was a human colony transport named Silver Home, carrying 50,000 settlers heading toward a newly terraformed world. They were peaceful civilians with no weapons. They were attacked by the Xyrath Dominion, a powerful alien empire known for slavery and conquest. The Xyrath claimed humans had violated ancient territory borders. In truth, the Xyrath wanted to test a larger plan, to see how quickly the galaxy would bow if they expanded again. The Silver Home sent one final broadcast. They have 1,000 battleships. We cannot escape. The message reached human space. Within minutes, the United Terran Command assembled. Politicians panicked. Admirals argued. Civilians demanded answers. But all of them fell silent when a single figure took the central hostage. Admiral Elias Rourke, commander of the Terran Vanguard. Rourke was known for an icy calm. He had survived battles most believed impossible. When he spoke, the room always quieted. "We will respond," Rourke said, his voice steady. A senator shouted, "Respond? With what? We don't have a fleet anywhere near the border." Rourke slowly shook his head. "We don't need a fleet." He turned and a hologram flickered to life behind him. It showed a single starship, sleek, obsidian black, with silver energy lines pulsing along its hull like living veins. A silence fell across the command chamber. The ship was legendary. Rumors whispered of its creation. Some said it held a reactor unlike anything in the galaxy. Others believed it was too dangerous to ever test. Its name shimmered on the hologram. HFY Resolve. The most advanced human vessel ever built. A ship so secret that not even the council knew it existed. A senator whispered, You're not serious." Rourke simply nodded. "I will take Resolve myself." The council erupted, but his command rank was absolute. The Terran Charter allowed a Vanguard Admiral to launch immediate action if human lives were at risk. Within 1 hour, Admiral Rourke stepped aboard Resolve. Inside the ship, corridors glowed with quiet blue light. Walls were lined with adaptive metal that shifted like liquid when touched. The ship's AI, Echo 7, activated with a gentle hum. "Welcome aboard, Admiral," the AI said. Its calm, feminine voice echoed softly through the bridge. "Weapons, drives, and shields are at full readiness." Rourke walked to the command chair. "Set course for the Xyrath interception point." Course plotted. Estimated arrival, 13 hours. He gazed at the stars. "One ship," he murmured. "Against 1,000. Let's see if they're ready for humanity." Across the galaxy, aboard the Xyrath flagship Dominion Spear, Supreme Commander Vral reviewed the captured civilian ship. The Silver Home floated helplessly in tractor beams, engines dead. A Xyrath officer approached him. "Supreme Commander, we received a transmission. A human warship is approaching from the outer sectors. Alone." Vral laughed, sharp and cruel. "One ship. Humans truly are fools." The officer hesitated. "They call it Resolve." Vral waved aside the concern. "Send a message to the fleet. Let them witness the weakness of Earth's children. Destroy the warship when it arrives. And then prepare the prisoners." He turned to the viewing window. "Let the galaxy watch how quickly humanity breaks." 13 hours later, Resolve exited warp. Before Rourke stretched a terrifying sight, a wall of alien warships stretching across the starfield like a curtain of steel. Their engines glowed bright red. Their weapons pointed directly at him. Echo 7 spoke calmly. "Admiral, sensor count, 986 Xyrath warships. They have surrounded the Silver Home." Rourke nodded. "They outnumber us 900 to 1. "Correct. And we are still going forward." "Of course." Rourke smiled faintly. "Good." The Xyrath fleet transmitted a message. Vral's face filled the screen, blue-skinned, four-eyed, armored in spiked metal. "Human vessel," Vral growled. "Surrender now and I may spare your crew." Rourke leaned back in his chair. "My crew? It's only me." Vral blinked. "You are alone? You face 1,000 ships and you come alone?" Rourke's eyes hardened. "Yes." A strange quiet fell across the Xyrath bridge. Confusion. Amusement. Then mockery. Thrall laughed. Then you are braver than I expected, or more foolish. Rourke's voice turned cold. We are humans. We don't surrender. He ended the transmission. Echo 7, Rourke said, straightening. Prepare the ether reactor. The AI hesitated. Admiral, once activated, there is no return. The galaxy will know what humanity truly is. Rourke stared at the 1,000 warships ahead. It's time they learned. The lights of the bridge dimmed. The core of the ship began to pulse. And the galaxy held its breath. The ether reactor awakened. Deep within the core of Resolve, metal rings spun like orbiting moons, generating a faint hum that grew into a powerful, resonant vibration. Energy surged through the ship like a heartbeat. Light poured from the reactor chamber, white, silver, and tinged with a strange, otherworldly blue. It was a color no alien species had ever seen before. On the bridge, Admiral Rourke watched calmly as the status panel shifted into warning mode. Echo 7 spoke in her serene voice, though a faint tremor undercut it. Admiral. Ether output rising to 70%. Stabilizing fields holding. Good, Rourke replied. Bring weapons online. Across the void, the Xyrath fleet repositioned. More ships arrived from hyperspace, reinforcements eager to witness the destruction of humanity's lone defender. Supreme Commander Vral stood at the center of his bridge, claws tapping against a polished obsidian console. Target the human ship, he ordered. Charge the main plasma batteries. When I give the command, erase it. Officers scrambled. Cannons glowed with violent energy. Engines burned like suns. Thousands of alien eyes focused on the single black ship floating silently before them. One Xyrath officer frowned. Commander, our sensors show unusual readings from the human vessel. What readings? The officer hesitated. Power levels beyond dreadnought scale. It makes no sense. No ship this small should produce such. Vral waved his hand sharply. Sensor interference. Humans are primitives. Fire when ready. Inside Resolve, the final locks clicked into place around the ether reactor. Its hum deepened, vibrating through Rourke's bones. Echo 7 continued monitoring. Ether energy now at 90%. Overload risk rising. Admiral, are you certain you wish to continue? Rourke gave a small nod. Begin Phase 1. Phase 1 confirmed. Behind him, the holoscreens flickered to life, displaying tactical maps of the enemy fleet. Red dots filled the grid, hundreds upon hundreds, forming an impenetrable circle around the helpless Silver Home transport. Rourke exhaled slowly. Let's give them their first surprise. Vral raised his claw. Fire. The Xyrath fleet unleashed hell. Hundreds of energy lances burst forward in a synchronized storm, blue-white beams, molten plasma bolts, explosive ion spikes, and particle disruptors. The sky lit up brighter than a dying star. But before the blast could reach Resolve, the ship changed. It didn't move. It didn't dodge. It simply shifted. A pulse of ether energy rippled outward, a smooth, perfectly spherical shockwave of silver-blue light. It moved silently, but when the enemy fire touched it, all of the Xyrath shots dissolved. Not deflected. Not blocked. Simply erased from existence. Vral froze. What? His bridge officers panicked. Commander. Our attacks vanished. Our targeting systems rebooted. We cannot detect the barrier. Our scanners are receiving impossible feedback. Vral growled. Fire again. All weapons. A second barrage launched. A second later it was erased. At that moment, the galaxy's most feared war fleet felt the cold touch of fear. Rourke finally spoke. Echo 7. Fire the ether lance. Charging. The lights dimmed again. A point of energy formed beneath Resolve's hull, no larger than a marble, but glowing with the intensity of a collapsing star. The point grew brighter, sharper, more focused. Target? Echo 7 asked. Rourke looked at the heart of the enemy formation, the flagship Dominion spear. Supreme Commander Vral, Rourke said quietly. Let's start with him. The ether lance fired. There was no dramatic beam. No blazing column of fire. Just a single flash of blue-white light. The Xyrath flagship vanished. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Just gone. No wreckage. No debris. No radiation. A hole remained in the fleet where the flagship once was, an empty wound carved cleanly from the formation. Echo 7 announced, target eliminated. Rourke nodded once. Proceed to Phase 2. On board one nearby Xyrath cruiser, panic erupted. Officers scrambled, hitting consoles, shouting contradictory commands. Commander Vral's ship, it's gone. No escape pods. No residue. What kind of weapon does the human ship use? Nothing can erase a Xyrath warship. Nothing. The acting commander roared, shields to maximum. Prepare to swarm the human vessel. But as soon as his ship moved, Resolve moved too. For the first time since arriving, the human vessel activated its engines. To the Xyrath, it looked like teleportation. One moment the ship was kilometers away, the next it was at point-blank distance. But it wasn't teleportation. It was speed. Raw, impossible speed. The battleship lunged forward, slicing directly through the Xyrath formations. Cannons fired from invisible ports along the hull, silent bursts of ether light that carved through metal like water through sand. One shot, one ship gone. Another shot, another ship erased. The Xyrath fleet began to break. Panic spread like wildfire. This can't be human technology. They said humans were weak. Retreat. Retreat now. But the fleet could not escape. Resolve moved too fast. Aboard the civilian ship Silverhome, humans watched through shattered viewports. They had expected death. Tears filled their eyes when they saw a single black ship defending them. A child whispered, "Who is that?" An old engineer answered with trembling voice, That is us. That is humanity." On the battlefield, alien commanders screamed. On the Resolve, Rourke remained silent. Echo 7 finally spoke. "Admiral, Phase 1 complete. Enemy forces disorganized." Rourke leaned forward. "Good. Begin Phase 2. "And what is Phase 2? Echo 7 asked. Rourke's eyes hardened. "Show the galaxy why they should never underestimate us again." He stood. "Prepare full power." The stars dimmed. The ship glowed brighter. And the galaxy was about to witness its second shockwave. Phase 2 began with silence. The battlefield had turned strangely calm. Wreckage did not drift. Explosions did not echo. Even the stars seemed to dim as the ether reactor surged toward its next stage. Admiral Rourke felt the temperature drop slightly on the bridge. Echo 7 dimmed the ambient lights to protect his eyes as the ship's core prepared to unleash something no other race had seen. "Admiral," Echo 7 said, "ether energy is spiking. Reactor output at 120%. Are you certain we should proceed?" Rourke's expression didn't waver. "They brought 1,000 ships. They thought we would kneel. Phase 2 is necessary." Echo 7 paused. "Understood." Outside, the Xyrath fleet scrambled desperately. Commanders shouted contradictory orders. Ships collided while retreating. Thousands of lives panicked in the void. One Xyrath commander, aboard the warship Karzul, tried to re-establish control. "Form defensive rings," he shouted. "Aim everything at the human craft." But the officers trembled. "Sir, we saw the flagship vanish. We cannot face that weapon. We must run. We should call the Dominion High Council." The commander snarled. "If we flee, we die by execution. If we stay, we die by vaporization. We fight." But as he turned toward his tactical display, the human ship disappeared from sensors again. Then it reappeared, closer. Far too close. Inside Resolve, Rourke gave the order. "Deploy the ether veil." Panels across the hull shifted. Triangular plates slid open like layered petals, revealing an underlying lattice of glowing silver lines. As the veil activated, the human ship became blurred. Its edges shimmered. Its shadows twisted. Its presence distorted like a mirage. Echo 7 calmly narrated, "Ether veil active. Our physical position is fluid across 3 vectors. Enemy targeting systems will fail." Rourke smirked. "Let's confuse them." To the Xyrath fleet, the human ship multiplied. 1 second there was a single Resolve. The next second, 5. Then 12. Then 50. Ghost images spread across the void, perfectly synchronized, each an afterimage of ether distortion. The Xyrath scanners malfunctioned violently, unable to determine which ship was real. "Fire at all of them," one officer screamed. Cannons unleashed another storm, but every beam passed through copies, never hitting the true vessel. Meanwhile, the Real Resolve launched its counterattack. Silver blue lines along the hull brightened. Then silence. A moment later, a wave of invisible force slammed outward. This was not the neat, contained shockwave from before. This was something else. Broader, deeper, infused with raw gravitational compression pulled from the ether core. The force rippled like a silent earthquake through space. The closest 30 Xyrath warships immediately folded inward. Metal twisted. Hulls collapsed. Engines imploded as if crushed by a giant, unseen hand. In seconds, 30 warships became 30 drifting metallic shells. On the Carzal, the commander stared in frozen horror. "What weapon is that?" His science officer spoke with a trembling voice. "Unknown, sir. That was a gravitic pulse, but amplified beyond anything our theories allow." The commander's eyes widened. "It can't be human science. This is impossible." But the human ship wasn't finished. Phase 2 continued. Rourke spoke evenly. "Bring the ether lattice to 40% capacity." Echo 7 hesitated again. 40% will destabilize local spacetime. It is not safe for any ship, even ours." Rourke leaned forward. "They destroyed thousands of our civilians across the galaxy in past border raids. They want to erase us. Safety is not our priority." A flicker of emotion crossed the AI's voice. "Very well." Panels on Resolve's underside opened, revealing a glowing geometric sphere, lines of energy forming a rotating lattice pattern. When the lattice spun faster, space near the ship rippled like disturbed water. Rourke breathed out slowly. "Fire the lattice net." A single pulse shot outward, but unlike the lance, this pulse didn't destroy. It captured. Any Xyrath ship it touched froze in place, locked by gravitational tension. Engines whined. Power cores overstrained. Those ships could not move, aim, or even turn. 71 Xyrath warships were caught instantly. In their paralysis, Rourke saw fear, pure, unfiltered fear. He addressed his AI. "Release them." Echo 7 complied. The lattice net dissolved. The trapped ships suddenly regained motion, but not control. They spiraled wildly. Many collided. Others crashed into their own allies. Some tumbled across the battlefield, breaking apart under the strain. The Xyrath fleet, once proud, once feared, now resembled a panicked storm of metal and fire. On board the Silver Home, the surviving colonists stood pressed against the observation windows. They could hardly breathe. "That's one human ship?" someone whispered. A mother hugged her child tightly. How is this possible?" The old engineer from before wiped his eyes. "We stayed quiet for centuries. We learned in silence. And this ship, this one ship, is our answer to the galaxy." On the battlefield, alien channels burst with overlapping screams. "Retreat. Run. Run. It's a demon. Humans are monsters. Save yourself." But the Xyrath commanders could not run fast enough. The exits were blocked. Their formations were shattered. Their morale was dust. The fleet was breaking. Totally. Irreversibly. Back on the Resolve, Rourke stood at the center of the bridge, watching the tactical hologram. Over 600 enemy ships remained, but their formation was gone. Their discipline was gone. Their courage was gone. Rourke finally addressed Echo 7 quietly. "Prepare for Phase 3. The AI paused longer than ever. "Admiral. Phase 3 is a full reveal of humanity's hidden capabilities. Once we use it, every major power in the galaxy will react." "They should," Rourke replied softly. "They should know who we really are." He tightened his gloves. "They have seen our weapons. Now let them see our will." As the ether reactor surged once more, casting a blinding white glow across the bridge, humanity prepared to do the impossible. Break an entire armada with a single ship. Phase 3 began with a whisper, a hum that seemed to resonate through the void itself. From a distance, alien fleets could not see it at first. But soon, strange distortions rippled through the battlefield. Stars bent slightly around the Resolve. Space itself seemed to shimmer. Every Xyrath commander stared at their displays, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Supreme Commander Vral's voice trembled as he barked orders. "Report. What is happening?" "Sensors are malfunctioning." One junior officer stammered, "Sir, the human ship, it's expanding? No, it's multiplying structures? Impossible." Vral's 4 eyes narrowed. "Enough. Fire everything. Erase it from existence." It was useless. Inside Resolve, Admiral Rourke remained calm, his hands resting lightly on the command rail. The ship's ether reactor glowed with a radiance that could rival a star. Echo 7's voice sounded steady, though a faint edge of awe colored it. "Admiral, Phase 3 is fully online. The temporal-spatial distortions are now projected across a radius of 5,000 kilometers. The fleet will experience localized reality destabilization." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Good. Begin the reveal." A soft pulse radiated outward from Resolve. The effect was immediate. Xyrath warships screamed across subspace channels as systems failed. Weapon arrays misfired. Engines malfunctioned. Hulls twisted as if the metal itself resisted the laws of physics. Communications failed entirely, ships could no longer coordinate. More astonishingly, the humans aboard the Silver Home began to see something beyond comprehension. From their observation ports, they saw the enemy fleet as a surreal, shifting constellation. Ships elongated, multiplied, and folded over themselves in impossible geometries. The colonists whispered in awe, unable to describe the vision. One child asked, trembling, "Grandfather, are they alive?" The old engineer smiled faintly. "Yes, they're alive, but we are showing them something they've never imagined." Across the battlefield, chaos erupted. Xyrath captains tried to regroup, but reality itself betrayed them. Ships collided without warning. Cannons fired, then froze midair, the plasma bolts suspended as if time itself had paused. The fleet fractured, the 1,000-strong armada now disorganized into hundreds of panicked clusters drifting helplessly in space. Supreme Commander Vral roared, banging his claw against the obsidian console. "Focus all power on the human. Destroy it before it destroys everything." Yet the fleet could not bring a single ship to bear on resolve. Every time they tried, reality warped. Ships blinked in and out of position. Weapon targeting systems became unreliable. Their mighty armada, supposedly the apex of galactic power, was helpless against one human vessel. Vral's face twisted in disbelief. "Humans, what are you?" Rourke's calm voice came across subspace comms, resonating like ice through the Xyrath channels. "We are what you underestimated. We are what you mocked. We are humanity. And we survive. Always." A murmur spread through the remaining fleet. Some officers froze. Some muttered prayers to gods they had never believed in. Fear had become tangible. The human had shattered everything they assumed about their galaxy. But resolve did not stop. The ship's ether reactor shifted again, converting more energy into physical projection. The vessel now appeared to multiply, not as illusions but as fully interactive constructs, each able to strike independently. A squadron of Xyrath warships attempted a desperate flanking maneuver. The resolve projected one of its constructs directly into their path. The ships slammed into it, unable to stop. The resulting collision annihilated 6 of them instantly, scattering debris across the void. Phase 3 is overwhelming the enemy's cohesion, Echo 7 reported. Estimates indicate that fleet morale will collapse within 30 minutes if the projection continues. Rourke leaned forward. "Then we will show them the final lesson." He activated the last component, the ether convergence. Light exploded outward from resolve, forming a lattice of pure energy that lanced through the Xyrath formation. Any remaining vessels that tried to flee were caught in localized temporal distortions, rendered immobile or trapped in looping subspace fields. Vral screamed in frustration, clawing at the console. "We are the Dominion. We cannot be stopped by one human ship." Rourke's response was simple. "You were stopped. By one. And this is what happens when you underestimate us." Back on the Silver Home, colonists witnessed the armada fall apart, some drifting in frozen silence, others spinning uncontrollably into deep space. Tears ran down faces young and old. Hope, long dormant, flared brightly. A mother whispered, holding her child. They are saving us. One ship, one human ship is saving us all." The old engineer's voice cracked. "And they are showing the galaxy who we are, finally." By the time the dust settled, the Xyrath fleet had been broken. Hundreds of ships were destroyed, immobilized, or fleeing in terror. The human ship floated silently at the center of the battlefield, glowing faintly from the immense energy it had released. Rourke stood on the bridge, expression unreadable. Echo 7 spoke quietly. "Admiral, the fleet is shattered. Casualties are minimal among humans. The galaxy has seen our true capability." Rourke nodded, eyes scanning the stars. "This is only the beginning. Let them rebuild. Let them rethink what humanity is capable of." The message was clear. Humans were no longer to be underestimated. And somewhere deep in the core of the galaxy, whispers began to spread among other alien powers. One human ship defeated 1,000 warships. What else are they hiding? Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy, not through overwhelming numbers but through cunning, intelligence, and sheer audacity. The resolve remained in orbit around the battered remnants of the battle, a silent sentinel. Its mission was far from over. The galaxy would learn that humans were patient, resilient, and unstoppable when pushed to the edge. And Admiral Elias Rourke, calm and unshaken, prepared the next phase of humanity's revelation. The galaxy was in shock. Reports of the Xyrath fleet's destruction spread faster than light-speed communications. Across sectors, council chambers convened emergency sessions. Entire worlds debated what had occurred. A single human ship had shattered the Empire's pride, leaving thousands of warships destroyed or scattered in defeat. Some alien leaders panicked. Some feared a full-scale war. Many wondered, what else could humanity do? On the Bridge of Resolve, Admiral Rourke monitored the retreating remnants of the Xyrath forces. The battlefield was a haunting expanse of drifting hulls and silent wreckage. The vacuum carried no sound, but the enormity of what had just occurred pressed upon him like a weight. Echo 7's voice broke the silence. Admiral, sensors indicate the Xyrath are attempting to regroup. They are requesting immediate council intervention. The High Command demands communication with you. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Put them through. The main holoscreen flickered. Supreme Commander Vral appeared, his face pale and tense, the once proud armor tarnished with smoke-like scorch marks from the battle. His voice was low, almost trembling. You are one ship, he said. One, a human ship, and you destroyed my fleet. Tell me, what are you? Rourke leaned forward, gaze cold and unyielding. I am humanity, Commander. And we will not be tested or dismissed. Your empire underestimates us at its own peril. Vral swallowed. Are you willing to negotiate? Rourke's lips curved slightly. We are always willing to negotiate, but only on equal terms. You attack our colonies, you will suffer. You underestimate us again, and there will be no mercy. Vral's expression hardened, though fear lingered beneath his spiked brows. This is unprecedented. We will consider your demands. The line went silent. Echo 7 observed quietly. Admiral, you just made the Xyrath reconsider their entire strategy. Rourke nodded. Good. That was the point. In the following hours, reports came from across the galaxy. Other species, traders, explorers, and governments watched the aftermath with wide eyes. Worlds that had once ridiculed humanity began whispering behind closed doors. Did you see it? Said a diplomat of the Elethary Collective. One human ship, against 1,000 Xyrath, and it survived. A military advisor shook his head. No species can match humans. Their cunning, their unpredictability, they play chess while others play checkers. Across the void, other powers began moving ships and emissaries, eager to learn more about humanity, or to measure whether this was a warning or the beginning of something larger. Back aboard Resolve, Rourke stood at the observation deck, gazing at the shattered Xyrath fleet drifting into the void. Echo 7 joined him silently, her presence calm. They will rebuild, she said. They will, Rourke admitted. And when they do, we will be ready. He turned to the colony fleet now approaching cautiously. Silverholm led the group, surrounded by escort vessels. Colonists cheered softly at the sight of their savior, but fear lingered in their eyes. They had seen power beyond imagination. They had seen humanity's apex capabilities revealed in ways no one could fully understand. Rourke's voice was gentle as he addressed the nearest ships. Everyone remain calm. Our mission is to ensure your safety. We do not seek war. But we do not tolerate aggression. A child aboard the transport pointed at the black ship. Is it really just one ship? Rourke smiled faintly. Yes. But one ship can carry the will of billions. While the galaxy watched, Rourke began implementing strategic decisions. Resolve would not merely defend, it would establish a precedent. The Xyrath, broken and humiliated, would serve as an example. Humanity would make its presence known across the sectors, not through conquest, but through cunning, adaptability, and unparalleled intelligence. The human admiral convened a council on the bridge with his AI. Echo 7, compile every known Xyrath communication. Map their response patterns. Identify weaknesses. Forecast potential retaliatory strategies. Processing, the AI replied. Estimated time, 37 minutes. Rourke nodded. Good. Prepare for diplomatic outreach. Begin sending calibrated messages to major powers. Let them understand humanity is no longer distant. We are here. And we are aware. As the humans returned to their colonies, the shattered remnants of the Xyrath fleet attempted a partial retreat. Yet even in their escape, the survivors spread fear and uncertainty across their empire. Reports of Resolve's abilities, temporal distortion, ether manipulation, and near indestructibility, were transmitted in every direction. Whispers traveled faster than light. Humanity cannot be underestimated. In secret, across the Terran command, political leaders debated the future. Some feared that showing humanity's true power so publicly might provoke full-scale war. Others argued it was necessary to establish dominance before being challenged. Rourke's orders were simple. Do not provoke without cause. Protect colonies. Learn. Adapt. And remind the galaxy that we exist. One ship, if necessary, can enforce that truth. Echo 7 projected tactical displays. Each projection highlighted potential threats, opportunities, and intelligence-gathering operations. Rourke studied the maps, planning the next moves. Every empire has its arrogance, he said softly. They all believe they are untouchable. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not surrender. And now, humanity is awake. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck. A silent promise hung in the void. No species would ever underestimate humans again. And somewhere, deep within the Xyrath heart space, Supreme Commander Vral whispered to himself. They are something we cannot destroy. Something we cannot understand. They are not like any other species. Rourke turned from the viewport, voice calm but resolute. Good. Let them think. Let them fear. The galaxy has only just begun to see the potential of one human ship, and the will of all humanity behind it. The resolve sailed quietly among the survivors, a single shadow against a galaxy that had been forever changed. One ship, one will, one humanity, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy had seen a new dawn. News of the Resolve's victory spread through subspace faster than any fleet could travel. Alien empires whispered in fear. Councils convened in panic. Traitors, spies, and diplomats recalculated everything they knew about humans. Even worlds that had never interacted with humanity felt a ripple of unease. For the Xyrath Dominion, the shock was profound. Supreme Commander Vral had returned to his capital world, scarred and humiliated. His fleet was shattered. His pride irreparably wounded. And worst of all, the humans had survived and scathed after facing 1,000 warships alone. He addressed his council, voice cold but trembling with rage. We underestimated them. We believed them weak. We were wrong. Every Xyrath commander must be made aware. Humans are no longer prey. They are predators disguised as one ship. The council murmured, some in disbelief. Supreme Commander, are you suggesting a war with humanity? Vral's eyes burned. Not yet. Not until we understand them. But we will not rest. They must be studied. They must be feared. And if provoked, they must be destroyed. No mercy will be shown. Meanwhile, Admiral Rourke navigated the Resolve back toward human space. He did not celebrate. He never celebrated. Battles were not won by one fight. They were won by vision, preparation, and patience. Echo 7 observed silently. Admiral, intelligence reports indicate multiple alien powers are requesting immediate diplomatic contact. They wish to assess the situation firsthand. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Let them come. Let them see the truth. Humanity does not hide. As the ship moved, the Resolve became a living symbol. Its passage alone shifted the balance of fear and respect. Worlds once indifferent to humanity now watched carefully. Fleets redirected their course. Communication relays recorded every maneuver, every subtle action. A young lieutenant spoke, almost in awe. Admiral, our presence is affecting the entire galaxy. Rourke smiled faintly, his voice calm but heavy with conviction. Yes. Humanity is not to be underestimated. Not now. Not ever. But danger was never far. Scouts detected Xyrath remnants fleeing toward hidden warp points. Echo 7's sensors identified another cluster of Xyrath warships, lesser in number but still formidable. Rourke studied the tactical maps. They think a partial fleet can challenge us. They are wrong. Without hesitation, Resolve engaged its sublight engines and phased into an intercept trajectory. The human ship moved like liquid shadow, weaving through asteroids, comet fields, and uncharted debris, before appearing directly in the path of the enemy. The Xyrath commander saw the black silhouette emerge. His sensors screamed warnings. Impossible, they are everywhere. Rourke's voice came across comms, calm, commanding. Do not underestimate us. Lay down your weapons and retreat, or suffer the consequences. The Xyrath hesitated. Their pride clashed with survival instinct. But Resolve did not wait. A pulse of ether energy rippled outward, and the smaller Xyrath fleet disintegrated in seconds, ships collapsing inward under spatial distortion, engines tearing apart. Fear now spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, the story was no longer one of human survival, it was one of human dominance. Word of the resolve reached even the Interstellar Council. The body of 12 advanced species, which had once ignored humanity as a minor curiosity, now summoned Terran representatives for an emergency convocation. Council Speaker Aaron of the Elethary Collective spoke first. Terrans, your species has displayed power that none of us anticipated. One ship has defeated 1,000 of the Xyretha's finest warships. Explain yourselves. Rourke's representative, Ambassador Kale, spoke clearly. Humanity is underestimated at its own risk. We are patient, adaptable, and strategic. Our technology, combined with our will, allows one ship, or one fleet, to achieve what others cannot. We do not seek conquest, but we do not tolerate aggression. A murmur ran through the council chambers. Others argued heatedly. Some species demanded sanctions against humanity. Others urged alliance. Every debate ended with one undeniable truth: humans were no longer ordinary. Aaron finally sighed. Then the galaxy must learn to respect you. And fear the consequences of underestimation. Back on the Resolve, Rourke observed the stars. Prepare the fleet of exploration, he told Echo 7. We will establish new colonies and systems with strategic value. We will chart the unknown. We will demonstrate that humanity's reach is limited only by our imagination, not by the cowardice of others. Echo 7's voice was calm but approving. Orders acknowledged, Admiral. Initial reconnaissance fleets are ready for deployment. Rourke allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The galaxy had learned a lesson in fear, but more importantly, it had learned the truth. Humanity could not be controlled, predicted, or underestimated. One ship had been enough to demonstrate that. And yet, he knew the work was far from over. The galaxy would test humanity again. Other empires would attempt to challenge them, to push limits, to provoke war. And when they did, the Resolve would be ready. Rourke's gaze hardened. We are not just a species. We are a force. We survive. We adapt. And we dominate when necessary. He turned to Echo 7. Prepare the next wave of intelligence gathering. Identify threats, opportunities, and alliances. Humanity must always act first, but wisely. Echo 7 acknowledged, the ship glowing faintly as it accelerated toward uncharted sectors. The galaxy had learned a painful truth. Humanity was no longer to be dismissed. One ship had broken 1,000. One species had shattered centuries of arrogance. And the echo of that lesson would resonate forever. The galaxy had changed forever. For centuries, civilizations had measured power by numbers, by fleets, by weaponry. The Terrans had shown them that none of it mattered if cunning, will, and adaptability were unmatched. One human ship, Resolve, had shattered 1,000 Xyreth warships. One human had reminded the galaxy that survival was not a matter of size, but of intellect, courage, and strategy. Admiral Elias Rourke stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch into uncharted space. The shattered Xyreth fleet still drifted in the void, their engines silent, their pride destroyed. Yet he knew they would not forget. They would rebuild. They would seek revenge. And when they do, Rourke said quietly to Echo 7, we will be ready. Admiral, Echo 7 replied, her voice steady. Diplomatic responses indicate multiple powers wish to meet with Terran representatives. Your actions have rewritten galactic politics overnight. Rourke allowed a faint smile. Good. Let them learn what we are. Let them respect us or fear us. Both are necessary. Across the sectors, the aftermath was being felt. Worlds that had ignored humanity suddenly sought alliances. Merchants offered resources, diplomats offered trade agreements, and military councils begged for cooperation. Even the Xyreth, humiliated and battered, sent emissaries, not for war but for negotiation. Supreme Commander Vral, his pride wounded but his mind sharp, approached the Terran representatives with cautious humility. You have shattered everything we knew, he admitted. We cannot match your power, not yet. But we can learn. We wish to negotiate. Rourke's envoy, Ambassador Kale, responded coolly. Negotiation is possible. Aggression will not be tolerated. Humanity values life, but humanity does not forgive ignorance or arrogance. Vral bowed his four-eyed head. Understood. Even among other powers, fear mingled with awe. Species that had once mocked humanity now measured every decision with caution. Strategic councils included Terran actions as the baseline for possible outcomes. Humanity had ascended overnight, not by empire but by intellect, resilience, and daring. Back aboard Resolve, Rourke prepared for the next phase. Echo 7, he said, chart a course to systems of high strategic value. We will expand, explore, and establish colonies capable of self-defense. Every corner of the galaxy should see the Terran name. Coordinates plotted, Echo 7 replied. Fleet escorts ready. Reconnaissance units prepared. Rourke nodded. Good. But remember, we do not seek conquest. We seek survival, growth, and the freedom to define our own destiny. Humanity is patient. But patience has limits. The stars ahead shimmered with possibility. Resolve glided toward uncharted sectors, its engines silent, its presence a symbol of caution and hope. Meanwhile, across the Xyrath Empire, whispers of fear persisted. Commanders argued over strategy. Scholars debated the technology they could barely comprehend. Entire fleets were held in reserve, not for attack but for observation. Humanity had become the axis around which their future decisions revolved. And that was exactly as Rourke intended. One ship had proven the point. One ship had destroyed arrogance and shattered preconceptions. Humanity's patience and restraint had been tested, and now the galaxy knew that humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. Months later, the first new Terran colonies were established in remote systems. Each settlement was accompanied by defense fleets, observation satellites, and Resolve itself, a silent guardian. Humanity did not flaunt power unnecessarily, but it radiated authority. The galaxy watched. Every new world under Terran guidance served as proof. Humans were no longer a minor species. Humans were apex strategists, warriors, and diplomats. Humans were unstoppable when unified and prepared. Rourke walked the observation deck of Resolve, eyes tracing the patterns of distant stars. Colonists and diplomats had asked about him. He always answered the same. One human ship can change the galaxy. But one human heart, united with others, can change everything. Echo 7's voice, soft and precise, broke the quiet. Admiral, the galaxy will remember today. Humanity is no longer underestimated. And it will not be. Rourke nodded. Good. Let them remember. Let them fear and respect us. But above all, let them know one truth: humans endure. We adapt. We overcome. And we thrive, no matter the odds. He turned to the stars. The black hull of Resolve reflected the distant suns. Its presence alone was a warning, a promise, and a testament to what humanity could achieve. In the void, a single pulse of energy radiated from the ship, a reminder that one human, one ship, could stand against 1,000 and emerge victorious. The galaxy would never forget. Not the fear. Not the awe. Not the name humanity had etched across the stars. And somewhere deep in the heart of every alien empire, the lesson resonated: never underestimate humanity. Because humans were not merely a species. Humans were an idea. One ship. One species. Infinite potential. And from that day forward, the galaxy would remember the ship called Resolve. The single black shadow that had changed the balance of the stars forever. The rise of humanity had begun. And it was unstoppable.